He sees this army and he really wants to engage. He's going to teleport directly on top of it. We're in our third of 4 round of 8 best of ones. To the top right, this was his original race some time ago, but he's been playing Protoss and more importantly random, especially in this game. It's our random European player,
Beastyqt.
and his opponent, a very French Protoss. Spawning red, it is
DNS.
Now, VC sent out his first SCV in such a quick manner. This could only be for a proxy, and that's exactly what the case will be. DNS will scout this, immediately gets to the main base with a probe. He sees a gas, he sees a supply depot, and he sees no barracks. There's 2 things a Protoss player will need to check for in this situation. Typically, A is the barracks hidden somewhere. So sometimes Terran players will just build their barracks over to the side, or even in weirder cases, like try and hide it in the natural. Hopefully, the Protoss player misreads this and overreacts, and they just play normally. But I don't think that if you're going to flip the coin, I don't think you're worried about that play in this best of 1. Maybe in a best of 3. But in a best of 1, it's probably really a proxy. And as you can see here, DNS sent a probe out, and he found this. And the fact that, there's a chance BC might not even finish the barracks is devastating. A long time ago, it was very difficult to target the SCVs, but Blizzard made some changes so that... Oh my god, he gets through! That was 1 shot from dead! Blizzard made some changes, though, just so people are aware that if you try to target a worker building a building, you can. In the past, it would target the building first and basically kind of shield the worker. In this case, DNS, you saw that for a brief moment, he was looking somewhere else, and his probe wasn't attacking. And if his probe had attacked in that one instance, instead of whatever else he was doing, macroing, building, it doesn't matter, that barracks would have been straight up denied. And Beasty probably starts considering typing GG in a very fast best of 1. You know, take your $5 and leave, sir. But no, because this actually worked out, the barracks finishes up, the Reapers hop into the main base. BC's gonna get some scouting and be a little annoying with this. Oh no! Even though it was a really cool way to go down, DNS with a full surround grabs the Reaper. Now, because we are using income graphs, I can highlight real quick. Look how much damage that still did. Not devastating to the economy. And to be clear, it's not like BC just won 450 something minerals. But you can see just how devastating it is to pull all your workers for even just 2 seconds. It really hurts your economy. That's why when we have these games go on and we see people pull their workers away from liberators or run away from oracles, yeah, the workers are surviving, but you're still taking a huge economic hit when things like that go down. And I think this was a nice little way to highlight that. So with the barracks coming back home, I think this is a bit of a concession. BC's gonna say, look, this isn't gonna work. I know this isn't gonna work. Let's fall back. I don't think this was something where BC had to rely on cheese. And just to be clear for all of our casual viewers who watch this, whether it's on YouTube later or live on Twitch with us now, if I had to measure these guys up, DNS is the better player. Sorry, Beasty. I love yous, but you're more of a streamer than a pro competitor, and DNS is the opposite. DNS is more of a pro competitor than he is a streamer. So DNS certainly has the chops for this, but as I say that, I do want to highlight Beasty, even in his most casual retirement, is still a really good player. So it's not like he was depending on that cheese. Like, oh, if I don't build this barracks, I might as well tap out. Obviously, that's not what happened, and that's not what's going to happen. But he is going to be in a funny spot from this because he's certainly disadvantaged. His base does finish up in the high ground, which is nice, so he won't have to do a bunch of cancel and waste SCV mechanics over here to build it. But at the same time, he can't move it down anytime soon, not until he deals with this small force. Which, by the way, that Cyclone almost got a full kill on the Zealot. That would have been really nice. Well, on the other side of the field for DNS, he went for a Stargate, and if Beasty's playing mech, which by the way, it's still unclear what he's planning to do just yet, taking a 3rd CC before a 4th building, it's unclear what he wants to do in terms of like total game plan here, but he is looking to harass. So the medevac's going to drop off a couple of Hellions. There's going to be a Cloak Banshee follow-up, and all of this would probably really hurt a player who's playing greedy back at home. But DNS isn't playing greedy. DNS is funneling units across the field, and in fact, there's an assault soon to be had here at the natural. I think BC caught a glimpse of the Phoenix, which is why the Cyclone pulled back with the SCVs. A Cyclone would otherwise love to run out, grab a lock-on, and pull back. However, if he did that, it would get lifted by the Phoenix and die. So he's got to keep this away from the ramp because he doesn't want stalkers to have range to punish this unit. Siege tank pops out too. Oh, this is going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and there's going to be no fun allowed, and that Banshee's going to get picked off pretty much right away. Cloaking still 10 seconds out. SCV's trying to repair. Doesn't quite cut it. Crypto Compare, thank you for the 31 months, by the way. So BC holds for a little bit longer. Those Hellions do unload on the other side of the map, and such unconventional play does catch DNS off guard. Holy cow. I expected him to have seen this coming, warped in advance. He just saved the second Hellion, which is big for damage. It takes 3 shots from a Hellion to kill a probe. Having 2 go off at the same time obviously saves a lot of damage and headache. This is going to get cleaned up, but this killed 9 workers, almost 12. Killed 9 workers and forced DNS to fully pay attention to this instead of continuing an assault on the natural, where BC is now very brazenly moving out to secure his base. Between a bunker, the siege tank, he should be good to go. This was really nice plays out of Beastyqt. And this is exactly what I was trying to highlight moments ago, where I was saying he's not, just because Beastyqt's like a streamer guy nowadays, he hasn't really lost his edge. It's just not like 24/7 competitive competing WCS training like somebody like DNS may be going through more often than not. Although I say all of this, and it is the holiday, it is the technical off season, so maybe DNS is playing a bit more casual. Whatever the reasons and whatever the case, all of it comes together to meet in the middle, where Beastyqt and DNS are actually putting on a really good show so far. Okay, saves the Banshee. Unfortunately, having to pop its cloak so early means it's not going to have much energy to stick around when it gets to the other side of the map. There's an observer coming out. There's no shield batteries to deny the damage, but between the observers and the stalker coverage, I don't think this Banshee will get more than a handful of kills. That being said, the biggest thing this Banshee's hoping to do, though, is distract DNS. Again, DNS must look at home to deal with this, rather than go across the map and harass Beastyqt, who is trying to establish his bases. So, oh, that was so cool! Can we just give a moment to give props to DNS? I've never seen anyone do that before. I mean, lifting up your own unit to save it is not new and is not crazy and not worth freaking out over. The fact that he picked a unit that can only take 2 shots at like 0.5 seconds or whatever to go to fire again, he lifts his own probe and then immediately cancels it, so he doesn't waste the DPS of the Phoenix but still saves the probe from the shot of the Banshee. And I'm sorry for nerding out about that, but that was really sick in my opinion. Now, if you've been paying attention to the production tab, we do have more factories coming down, and mech seems to be the order of play here. Oh no, the Marines have got to get in the bunker. Oh no! Okay, 1 Marine in the bunker means these can't stay around forever, but yikes, that got out of hand very quickly. But mech is going to be weird. Mech versus Protoss still doesn't have like a perfect spot of the matchup, but I will say, since the patch, oh, Thors have been convincing me. The new Thor is so sick and can do so much stupid stuff, whether intended or not. Pair that up with like a mass Widow Mine coverage, and just with this amount of factories and armories, he's going to have tech going for him. BC's on 3 bases. He's got a really good worker count. I got to be honest, guys. If you gave me barcode to barcode, I wouldn't be guessing some player like Beastyqt. I'd be guessing somebody more like Euthermal or Kellizer, or just a really, really top-notch Terran. I like the ideas behind what he's doing. I like the execution so far. And DNS has not been giving away any freebies. He has, however, decided to focus a little bit more on macro as he goes to take a 4th base. And Eternal Empire is not a map that has a friendly 4th base no matter where you go. What were the Thor changes? So the Thor was tweaked pretty significantly, where it's anti-air cannon now, the transformation mode one. It attacks much faster, like stupid faster, but it has damage obviously tweaked to compensate. It only really busts damage versus massive, but a couple of cool things happen. Right now there's a backswing bug, and I don't know if it's a bug or intentional, but the Thor can basically shoot so quick now that it can shoot one round on the ground, like shoot an immortal, then immediately shoot the air units nearby, so like a Colossus or Phoenix, and then by the time all that cooldown for the guns are done firing, go back to shooting again like normal. Oh, great missile turret placement, by the way. Only 1 Zealot to deal with here. So anyways, Thors are finding a lot of use. They are massive anti-massive busters. I know that sounds funny to say it like that, but that's the most literal way I can describe it. Secondly, their rate of fire just makes them good in general against everything and anything. So we may not see Thors in this game, but I just want to be clear, the few matches I've been casting since the patch, Thors have got me thinking about new strategies altogether. BC went back pro question mark? I can't say that. You'd have to ask him. I do know that he's playing in our tournament today, which is awesome though. I think pro is such a silly title for StarCraft 2. Same with the whole idea of retirement. So many people retire on the regular for StarCraft's history, but then they just keep playing the game. Like it's not the same terminology as it is in normie world, I guess. I think BC's always been a competitive level player. Oh, hey! All hate no cattle. Thank you for the bits. And good morning. Merry almost Christmas. Siege tanks leapfrogging forward to get here for a 4th base. It's a very slow process, which is given DNS time not to just take a 4th, but a 5th. But if he gets the space established, BC will be in a really good spot. 4 base Terran can do whatever they want. There's carriers coming down though, and I don't think there's been a lot of scans or information to see this. So unfortunately, BC's coming to this a little blind. Hellion Harass doesn't really succeed that much, nor does it get any good information. But one thing that's pretty important is BC has been churning out Vikings like gangbusters, and it's so critical he's doing this because he doesn't have any other anti-air. He didn't invest in Cyclones. He's building missile turrets, a couple of Widow Mines, but for the most part, he doesn't have a solid anti-air army. I do think, and I stand by this, I think Thors are the better option in every single way possible, but Vikings will still get the job done in a pinch. Oh, thank you guys for all these subs. Derb, my chat, thank you for the 6 months. Can't forget my monthly freebie. Here you go. Thanks, dude. And Stampede993, thank you for the 39 months of support. Now this Hellion Run by is a lot better. Does 11 probes and reveals the carrier. I don't think the probe kill matters nearly as much as the carrier confirmation. Beasty immediately starts building Thors. Another factor we need to talk about is the mothership. The mothership has not really had its role changed in this matchup, but 2 very important changes happened to the mothership. Side note, Rich Terrazine, nice. So the mothership is now labeled a heroic unit. That's not going to affect this matchup at all. All it means is you can't neural parasite and steal it and be really annoying with it anymore for Zerg. I know, I see the minus 400 memes, guys. I know, but hear me out. Like, this is going to provide cloud cover, I guess, if you want to say that, through cloaking, forcing BC to come a little bit more forward, rather than get to take full advantage of his ranged units. Between siege tanks, the Thor's anti-air attack range, the Viking attack range, everything BC has is a really long-ranged unit. Yeah, 400 is a nice meme, and it's certainly never really great wasting that much money in a game of StarCraft, but that's going to give DNS the ability to even engage. Whereas for Beasty, he'd be very happy for a cloakless army to approach him and just wail away from a distance with siege tanks and Vikings. Also, that is a literal turret wall. I love this. He knows his shortcoming is anti-air. It's a big problem when you play mech in general. So the fact that he's got his bases quite literally covered makes this a very difficult game for DNS to bust in with those carriers. Does BC have building armor? No, he doesn't. Building armor would be really great to stop if he's going to rely on missile turrets like this. Top base also getting some crazy attacks here through these stalkers. Cost BC a few siege tanks, but removes all the stalkers. A very expensive run by out of DNS. Oh, these Widow Mines are going to get a nice set of freebies. He's got those drilling claws too, so it will require detection to see what's going on. We're going to see BC have to save some of these scans too. No more mules. Is going forward, he does not. Even if he could build a Raven, you don't want to build a Raven. Detection's a real big problem, and that, again, the mothership, nice meme, 400, minus 400, but it's providing a lot of hurdles that BC's gonna have to go through. I kind of went off topic, but the other cool change about the mothership that's making this more viable than ever is the time warp no longer takes 7 years to cast. When you put the time warp down, it forms the bubble much faster than it has in the past, and it's a bubble that will affect the slow. Or rather, it will slow the attack speed of all units, but also buildings caught within it. So to be clear, a time warp on these missile turrets could be the difference of taking a fight versus losing the game. I'm not saying it has to be like that, but just emphasizing some of the cool new changes because we are on a new patch. There's so many missile turrets though. We got Geralt in chat talking about Void Rays. Yeah, I'm a little surprised this didn't go down the path of Void Rays. I can't tell if Void Rays are a meme or a sick play yet, because in about half the games I've been watching, Flux Veins looks really good, and in the other half of the games, it's like a total joke. So I'm really undecided on this, at least as a fan. But as we see more games play, as the season continues to flesh itself out, or the off season, we'll have a better idea as time goes on. But all right, let's talk about the Thors coming up against these carriers, or the mothership for that matter. These anti-air cannons are 43 versus massive every 0.91 seconds. They attack so fast. And not even just like compared to the old Thor, just objectively attacks so fast. The Viking count's also sitting on 16, so targeting down some of these carriers shouldn't be out of the question. But these missile turrets, they were never meant to stop the carriers. They're just meant to buy time, which they've done pretty perfectly. Look at that. Almost a one volley. He's like one Viking shy of one volleying down the carriers. And if DNS wants to commit to this, he will lose this fight every single time. In fact, there's the minus 400 right there. Where's those Roddy memes, guys? They've been earned. But as cool as it is to make fun of the 400 meme, that did just allow him to pretty safely get across the map and take out 11 missile turrets. I'm not going to justify it and say it was worth it, but Beastyqt took a lot of losses too. Resources lost actually piling up for both sides of this equation. The difference is DNS does have a little bit of a bank to work with. Beastyqt's micro has to be pretty on point here, because if he flies too far forward and eats an Archon blast, even though these aren't biological, the splash damage is still ridiculous. You see the Vikings a little unsure what to do, going to bleed out 1 or 2 for this. Oh, this one missile turret's going to block those Thors if they try and walk through. Zealot run by here to the top side. Luckily, the army's kind of awkwardly stuck and not in position, so it responds. Other side of the map, 2 battlecruisers come out. Oh, this is a classic battlecruisers. I'm not sure what they're planning to get done over here, but it is a good distraction for both. I think BC would win this. Oh, the disruptor shots! 3 of them are not enough to kill a Thor. Thors are some of the few units in the game, by the way. They just have massive HP pools. They can take a nuke. They can take a disruptor shot. DNS getting pushed back. Now that carrier army, without support, is just getting free fired on. And it does appear the battlecruisers died while this went on, but as I said, a sick distraction, allowing BC to pounce on that main army. This is a good game. I wish this wasn't a best of 1, but this is a good game, guys. Unfortunately, though, I really don't think carriers were the answer for this game. I think he was hoping to catch maybe BC a little more off guard than he really did. Oh man, there's a ton of SCVs out here repairing, by the way. The Zealots just kind of blitz in and help take out some of the Thors. A couple more disruptor shots go for the tanks in the back. But between the Vikings killing the carriers and the Stalkers and Immortals killing the Thors, it's kind of hard to say who wins this. Vikings land to get all that bonus damage. There's a carrier to assist too, but both armies have been kind of wiped out. I think I feel a little bit worse for Beasty in terms of his income. Recovering from this is not going to be nearly as easy as it is for DNS. And unfortunately, there wasn't so much momentum carried through this that he could just keep pushing to win. Also, if you guys didn't notice, those fast transforming Vikings, that's because of the Smart Servos upgrade. Not a lot of people take this upgrade, and it doesn't come into effect for a lot of the games. And in fact, I love, by the way, this is such... Right now, there's the most balanced wine thing I've ever seen in my life displayed on my stream, and that's just the upgrades. Here's Terran with like literally twice the upgrades and still losing these battles, right? But that's not really how it works, because of course this is Deceptive. Blue Flames were for worker harassment. These are both for defense. This is a once every minute cooldown. Like, so it's not that crazy of a difference, but it looks really funny to see that at a glance. 5 Tempest at a time to combat the carriers, or excuse me, the battlecruisers. Oh, this one Oracle's so nice. I really don't think the battlecruisers are the linchpin to BC's army, but right now they are what he has invested pretty much everything into. So for DNS, it's going to be about killing those battlecruisers, and once he breaks those, he hopes to break Beasty. But I'm really hoping Beasty doesn't over tunnel vision on this. Like, I don't want this game to be all about battlecruisers for him, because if it is, he's gonna have a really bad time versus those Tempests. Oh, I love this Widow Mine. What a nice little deny mechanic. Both players on a lot of bases, income favoring DNS, and it's been that way for a while. Of course, he's had a lot more probes than Beasty's had SCVs, but Beasty's been kind of bridging the gap with the odd mule here and there. So big run by, but I mean, this is gonna be 2 dead battlecruisers if he doesn't teleport pretty much like right away. Oh, there you go. That 1 second delay is so terrifying. It's not, I have no comments on it regarding balance. It is just straight up terrifying trying to get those things out of there alive, but he does. And I guess where DNS falls a little bit short is he doesn't have all the upgrades maxed out. Beasty almost does. So DNS will have to pump a little bit more money into like shield upgrades and such, but Beasty is pretty much covered in that regard. So weirdly enough, this point on going forward, that's a planetary? What? From this point on going forward, it's just pumping units for him. He doesn't have to worry about doing too much else. All the bases on the maps have pretty much been covered for both. There's not really a lot of room for expansions left in this game. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? But this is going to be, I think, a lot more focused army versus army. I do wish BC had kept up his harassment a little bit more. Maybe some Widowmine drops or something. Not trying to critique, just saying I would love to see that added into his already excellent play. But DNS playing really good too. As mentioned before, he started building the right units to deal with the army now. Big way to deny this base with 3 stalkers on hold position, by the way. This is fantastic. Planetary Fortress, even with range, which it has, cannot reach the outskirts, so denies an entire base from mining. And BC can't really afford to send much over to deal with this. The one tank is going to siege up near the base and hope to deal with it, but if he takes any of his army out of position, then he exposes the rest of his bases. It's pretty tough to be in this position. He stacks up the battlecruisers to 7 battlecruisers, 7 Yamatos. Siege tanks are dealing with the situation. Looks like around the map there's just the odd widow mines, so they're grabbing some like probes transferring around. There's not real big damage going down here. There's 1 stalker left to deal with, and that's getting dealt with. Ali, creator, well not creator, excuse me, chronicler and updater of Gameheart. Thank you for the Twitch Prime, dude. And Dove and Wolf, thanks for coming back for 62 months. I love seeing those big numbers. It's still unbelievable we've been around for that long, but thank you guys for sticking with me. Top left base is totally screwed, but this could signal Beasty that his opponent's base is going to be open too. So, in a quite literal base trade, trading out his command center for his opponent's nexus, they're both going to be needing some pretty important expansions. The key difference is Beasty doesn't have the money that DNS does, though. So at the end of the day, even though they're trading 1 for 1, this hurts Beasty way more than it hurts DNS. Oh, he's going to have to give up another base as well, but so will DNS as Beasty continues his run by. It's going to be a lot easier for Beasty, by the way, to kill more bases than DNS. DNS's army is very powerful but very slow and has to stop to shoot. Beasty could just keep running by and knock down Nexus after Nexus after Nexus, and then ideally teleport back home to defend. But I mean, he's in a rough spot on the defensive front. There's just not a lot to work with here for him. His army supply is mostly in these carrier or battlecruisers. DNS by the way clears that base and takes it. I love it. It's like the least suspecting base of where you would go to next, right? Now there's an odd Tempest or 2 at home. These battlecruisers could totally fight this, but he's seeing the recall, and that's got to be the signal to get out of dodge. Because every Tempest comes home, Beasty waits a little bit long to teleport, but he does get out of there alive without losing a battlecruiser. So he kills. Oh my god! I only put everything on 1 tab, and I love it. But there's just so much that's died this game that even with the compensation of more room for more things, it still expands off the list. And we just have so many things dying. But 3 Nexus was pretty annoying there for DNS to have to lose. As mentioned, though, he's had the money to replace these. It's not that big of a deal for him. It hurts, but not that bad. Lots of SCVs pulled to repair the battlecruisers. I think what could be really great are some Widow Mines aided into this. You're seeing a lot of Vikings come out too, though, so this might just be a game that ends up being pure air battle for Beasty. I mean, he has 3-3. There's no downside to doing this, but my fear for this, though, is it's just a lot easier to build a lot of these Tempests and stay out of range and never let the Vikings actually fly up and never let the battlecruisers actually do anything. But okay, wait, hold on. We might be committing to a fight here. Yamato's starting to fire too. Big damage coming on top of these Tempests. They won't be one-shots, but almost one-shots. Easy for the Vikings to finish up. Oh, some good storms though at a DNS. Pushing these Vikings back. And there's a lot of Widow Mines on the ground too. I think there's no detection here though, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there's an observer. No, there's one. Excuse me. There's 1 observer. So we can see Widow Mines. Oh, 1 Viking for 1 Tempest is a great trade. That was so funny. I like that. But quick shoutouts, by the way, to both Beasty and DNS. We're having like the quickest round of 8 best of 1s. Cheese after cheese, failed after fail, and then we get this. And I am so happy we got this. This has every bit of my favorite StarCraft 2. Old school players, fantastic players, carriers, battlecruisers, Tempest. I mean, it's gone the distance. God, that planetary looks so weird. I still don't know why there's a planetary up there. But I guess in a pinch, get the defense where you need it. Now, BC's going to take advantage of his teleport ability again, so he's going to do a big run by while DNS hits him as well. BC will try and do tons of damage and then teleport back home. I almost want to see him teleport directly on top of the Tempest. It's not a good move to do that, by the way, but I just want it to happen so badly. Widow mines are being taken care of here by the disruptors. Mentioning again, there is an observer, so we can see it. Oh, I like this split, but oh my god, there's 13 stalkers warping in. Beasty, get out! Beasty, get out! It's not gonna work! Oh no! Oh, he does get them both out alive though, which is fantastic. To a safe spot, no less. DNS now. I'm not sure if he intended for this to go to full base trade territory, but that's where we're at. DNS is the better standing army in terms of numbers, but I think BC might have the better army in terms of like hit and run attacks. Between the Vikings working the way they do and the battlecruisers having Yamato cannon, if those Tempests go down, Beasty absolutely destroys the ground army with the battlecruisers. Obviously, that's an easier task said than done. 16 Tempests is going to be a lot to take out, but I mean, he's unpowering everything. The supply block on DNS. Forget DNS replacing the power on these buildings to rebuild things. He's going to have to build like 400 pylons just to build a single unit. Am I being a little bit hyperbolic? Yeah, okay, sure. But the point is, driven home, there's no production for DNS anymore. His bases are all being knocked out. Beasty's not in a much better spot, but Beasty is, in my opinion, in a better spot. And I only say this in terms of like taking a fight defensively. If he has to keep reaching around the map, hit and run is going to favor the long range units over the battlecruisers. But both players are wicked bad supply blocked, and even though BC has another base to go to, there's not a lot he can really do. It's really weird and so surreal seeing this, but BC doing this run by was huge. 3,000 minerals, that's like 30 zealots warped in and just sent underneath or around the air army to kill the buildings while BC's stuck fighting against the Tempest, right? Having removed all of the production, which DNS is now going to try and remedy, Beasty has not only cut down any kind of attack like that, but reduced the amount that could possibly be made just because of the amount of money invested in the pylons to get the buildings back up and running. So here we are, ultimate late game composition, 15 battlecruisers, 14 Vikings. I still wish this game had gone down the road of Thors, to be honest, but oh, he needs to scan. He needs a big fatty scan. He sees this army and he really wants to engage. He's going to teleport directly on top of it. With everything stuck in range, Yamatos are going to fire left and right for sure. Oh, this is, I think BC's got this. This is a tough fight though, because DNS does have more army supply. But being in range with the battlecruisers is massive for damage. However, the Archons and the Stalkers on the ground are killing everything way faster than BC's killing things in the sky. And if BC wins the sky battle but has no battlecruisers left over, he can't combat the Viking or anything on the ground. Vikings landed are good, but not good enough. GG! What a game! DNS takes it and moves on to the semifinals.